She is a lady of all seasons. Many refer to her as the fixer. I like to call her Afsa. Her discipline surpasses various disciplines, from event and concert curation to movie production. She envisions creating a thriving environment to enable East African creatives access the world and globe at large. That way they can put our offerings out to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me to Mugibson Meets, Afsa Umutesi.
Just Afsa. Most people don't use just Afsa.
Okay. Welcome to Mugibson Meets.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Mugibson Meets, we basically talk to people who are doing great stuff in the world, right from artists, people like you in the creative industry, plus other big people we are here to bring on the pod. One thing you and I have in common is our dislike for mathematics.
That interview is going to haunt me.
But I loved it because I relate a great big deal. I think the best at math I can go is money,
Yeah, I mean,
plus so
of
and
course.
so,
Yeah.
Once things like cosine theta get in, it gets ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but besides that, you and I also have our hearts beat for urban artists and creatives are a big deal. We see this from with the way you pick those who perform on the different events you put together, and so why is that the case?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that you just find yourself doing. But I think it's also I think even from my young age, I've always been very enamored and very intrigued by talented people because I don't have I'm not going to say I don't have a talent, but like that tangible talent where like you can sing and you can dance and all of these things. So I've always been very intrigued by that, even from like my love for TV. Like I've always been like kid that sat in front of a TV and watched TV the whole day. So maybe it came from that. And then when I started working, I was just pushed straight into the creative industry, into music, and also like watching and being able to work with some of the greatest artists in the continent just gave me the push and the interest to just like want to work even with with a younger artist, because you never know the artist that you could be working with, the creative that you could be working with could be the one that maybe 10, 20 years from now is considered the greatest, right? So if there's anything that I can do to contribute to that, I'm very happy to do that.
That's interesting because personally, I do that with my platforms, which is the blog, and so my different avenues I'm able to my playlist and all that. So you mentioned that you work with various young artists. Who has been the easiest for you to work with?
I don't know about easy. I think because also I'm very particular depending on how I'm working with them, because I work with artists on very different how should I call it, on their very in different ways basically. So I'll work with them if I'm booking them for a show. I'll work with them if because I now have a creator agency where I do marketing for creative projects and stuff like that, marketing and like rolling out. So I'll work with them in that capacity, and then I also do production because I'm also a producer. So I'll work with them to produce and stuff like that. So it depends. So when you say who has been the easiest to work with, it's such a wide range of different circumstances and different things to consider, but I do enjoy working with all of them for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Now that you have a creative agency, like you said that books artists. What I recently you did mention the need for artists to add value to themselves. That way they can be able to to be able to tap into the opportunities available. What advice can you give them to like in order to be able to achieve that? Given the experience you've had, for about 3, 4, I don't know how many years.
10 years.
That's a decade.
Yeah. So it depends really, but I think my biggest advice is for you to find out to just figure out like what you have to give, because that's what your worth is, right? So so for example, if an artist, maybe a musician, is a singer-songwriter, there's so much that you can give from just being a singer-songwriter. There's so just you don't have to just be the artist that just sings only. Because if you're a singer-songwriter, it means you also know how to write music, right? Then write music also, like you can write music and sell it to other people. Then you have the ones that can also, because I mean, in this day and time, as an artist, most of the time you'll find artists that that write their own music, they produce their own music. So which means you're also a producer. So do that as well. I think just figuring out what your gift is, and then figuring out a way to monetize or use that gift would be the best way. Because at the end, like even as entrepreneurs and business people, you're always trying to find different modes of income, different sources of income from maybe the one thing that you do. You try and like diversify so that it can be able to bring income from different places. So for me, that's always my advice to creatives is figure out what it is. If you're a painter, okay, fine, you're going to paint and like these amazing paintings and sell them, but then also you can do commissioned work, right? For other people. You can do murals, you can maybe learn how to do it digitally and sell that online as well. So we're past the time where you could just do one thing.
Like being a box,
like
or
being a box.
I can only be a lawyer and that's it.
Exactly. We're past the time, especially as a creative. Like you're so blessed to be able to be a creative, because then there's so many things that you could do with your talent. I mean, a lawyer can only be a lawyer, right? A doctor can only treat people.
Yeah.
But you as a creative, like you have so many things that you can use your talent for. So I think I would advise all creatives to just explore that and just be open to so many different ways of making an income, because you'll be like, oh no, like I'm an artist, I sing, okay, fine, but you're broke.
You need to make it work either way.
Exactly. So find a way of making it work, and when you finally do make it work, then you have the choice to be like, you know what, I have, like, I'm doing well enough to just sing, you get, and that's it. But I mean, even Beyonce doesn't just sing, so
You're so right. And then also it brings me down to one artist who has never like been on stage, and it's maybe their very first time. As they prepare for the shows or go on those big stages, what advice can you say you can give them so they can really ace it?
First and foremost, I would never advise you to go on a big stage if that's your first time. Like, don't do it. Don't do it yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure, and it's going to haunt you, because the moment you fail on a stage like that, not only have you failed to show up for people, for them to see you in your truest, most amazing form, but you've also messed with yourself, because it's going to mess with your confidence, because you're going to assume that you can't do it, but that's not true. So I'm not even going to give advice on what to do. I'm just going to tell you, don't do it. Do not go on a big stage until you're ready to do it, because it does set you back, even in your confidence, in your art and everything, or even the audience as well, because
so like you're mentioning, like it has more of once it goes south, it has the repercussions, or the whatever happens afterwards.
It's
more on the negative side than the.
It's much bigger than what you feel that you're going to gain from performing on that stage.
For the very first time as a junior, as anything. So what do you think they can do to best prepare for when they get to the mega stages?
I think to prepare for that, first and foremost, is perform with a band before. That's if you're going to perform with a band. If you're going on the big stage, you might be performing tracks. But still, like, just perform a lot more, because if you can do it on a smaller stage, that you can translate that on a bigger stage always. So just like keep trying to perform, like I said, like band nights, or even just go to like approach the smaller venues, but also the smaller platforms. So your expressions, your Akadope Fast Fridays, your border stage parties, the smaller ones. So just approach those ones, because stage fright is also a thing. So if you can't stand in front of 100, 200, 300 people, what makes you think you're going to stand in front of 3,000 people, right?
That's about 6,000 eyes.
Exactly. So I think just keep performing, and then just keep getting getting better and just making your craft better.
And I think they would
And
be
then
very accommodative of
no,
if you ask for an
100%.
opportunity
Because
for.
the thing is, that's what we're here for. You get, like, I know for a fact that's why Expression started what they do. I know for a fact that's why we started Akadope. I know even the Border Stage Party, like all these other smaller platforms, they do this because they want to put on younger artists.
Yeah.
The goal is to be able to put on younger artists because, again, I as a producer of bigger concerts, yes, I personally will endeavor to put on younger artists, but not everyone does that, and I understand because it's business.
Yeah.
But so other than practicing and performing, I think it's also very important for you to always have your music ready. If you're going to do tracks, always have like tracks recorded in studio so that they're clear and they're good. You get if you're going to do live band, also even bands these days usually use tracks for that, just like the full
Someone could
feel.
wonder what are tracks like. Is it the a cappella version? Is it the instrumental? Like what are tracks?
It depends on what you want it to be. So it could be the instrumental. Some people put backup vocals in it. So if you see an artist, probably maybe like Wizkid, and he's performing without backup vocalist, that's because they're in the tracks. So you just record a bunch of the instruments and the beats and the vocals without your vocals. So which means when you go to perform, it's just now you're on top of that.
Then the other guys are fitting into.
Yeah, so you're on top. Yes, exactly. So you're just on. When you go to perform, you're just on top of that, right? So all you need is your voice. Okay. So yeah, so record that, and then also before you perform, the one thing that I always tell artists before they get on stage is have fun. That's always for me. That's always a trick. Is if you have fun on stage, people will.
The energy will rub off on.
Exactly. So just have fun. I think if you've decided to go on the big stage and you're ready for it, have a blast. Because my thing is, just think about it in a way that you've prepared. There's nothing else you can do in that moment. All you can do is go, give it your all, show up, and have fun. And every time you have fun, it's going to translate. It will always translate with your audience.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So you did mention something about how Bebe Cool is really one of your best performers. Directly or indirectly, you might have mentioned it.
I didn't say my best performer. No, I gave him his props.
Yes.
Because Bebe Cool has like coming up before band was popular to do. He was one of the first people. I mean, of course, there's like Maurice Carey and stuff, but he was one of the first people that do his kind of music to do a full live band performance in Serena.
Yeah.
And when he was starting to do those, he used to rehearse all the time. Like he had rehearsal like throughout the week with his band, whether he had a show or not.
Okay.
And that translates on stage because then you get to because you get to experience that chemistry between the artist and the band.
The practice makes perfect thing that they keep talking about.
I mean, we've been told this from the beginning, practice makes perfect. And it's true. So that's why I'm like, keep on practicing. Those bands that you're talking about, find a band that you feel like you vibe with. You don't have, that's the thing. At the end of the day also, you don't have, because you're going to be like, oh, I don't have money for a band. You don't have to have your own band. You can have a band and you're like, okay, I really like the way these guys play. For example, Apas, I remember when he had just started playing live, he was very attached to Janzi. You couldn't book Apas if you don't book Janzi band, because that's the band that he was comfortable playing with. Yeah. So find that for yourself and just create that relationship with the band. Again, these bands are so open because they also know that when you get booked, you're the band that you win. Exactly. They're so open. They're so open to playing with you. They're so open to experimenting with the artists and stuff like that. So always find someone to play with.
Yeah, because my question was going to be what lessons they can pick from Bebe Cool, because he has been there for over 20 years.
Just rehearse. Like that's the thing. Like if you see someone like Bebe Cool, who at that point in his career he didn't need to do what he was doing, because he was Bebe Cool, you get. If Bebe Cool at that point had told, because Serena seats 1,500 people. At that point in his career, Bebe Cool, all he had just had to do was say, I have a show in Serena, and people would show up, right? But he decided to show up the best that he could. So my advice is take that. What if you're to take anything from him, take that from him is show up and also respect your craft, because clearly that's what he was doing. He respected his craft enough to be like, you know what, I'm going to show up the best that I can in my craft. And I don't know, maybe it could or he couldn't have, but I feel like that also like elevated his profile a little bit because now you're seeing him from the guy that like is jumping on stage and doing what all these things, but now you're seeing him play live with all these instruments and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So it does elevate your status, and I'm sure the price went up after that as well.
Yeah, because I think I recently saw him at there was a Best of Kampala edition last year in November. He did so well. He
Yeah,
was among my best performers of the night.
yeah,
Yeah, besides
he's a great
the exponent
performer.
that is who had come through to perform.
Yeah.
And then also at the recent for UB40 show,
Mm.
he really he always amazes, and he does those whenever he performs, which is I think a very big thing. But again, like I said, it's all attributed to that discipline of rehearsing and respecting your audience and your
Yeah.
craft and everything. Um, you've been in the game for over 10 years of events, curating, and concerts and all that. But of course, I do believe there has to be that one show that you've organized and you're like, Afsa, you are that girl. Like, you are so proud of it. And like, to date, you don't think maybe you can, outdo that. Maybe you may, but it really has a mark on your heart. Which event is that?
Yeah. Now that's a bit tricky because I don't think there's a show where I'm like, yeah, I did that. Because also the job that I do depends a lot on the people around me. So every job that I do is always my gratitude and my props always go to the team. It's
Okay.
really never me because I feel like me, I'm just like the person
In
that
the
moves things
background.
around. But I don't really do much. If you see a great stage, I didn't put that together. If you see
Yeah, you
great
didn't carry
lighting,
the lights
I didn't
and
carry the lighting.
the
I didn't.
speakers and
You get. I
everything.
wasn't on the mixer. If the sound is great, I wasn't on the mixer. You get. So it's never like I don't have anything where I'm like, you know what, I did that. But I do maybe have shows that like a near and dear to my heart. But for me, that is when like the audience. Like for me, it's always because I can't tell you how many times I've like during my career I've been like, you know what, I'm done with events. I'm not doing this anymore. This is it.
It's a
But
wrap.
then it's always that last moment when you're like on stage and then like maybe the main artist has come on, or there's just this one artist that comes on and you see the audience and the audience is just so happy and they're so amazed. So those are the ones where I'm like, okay, those are the shows that are probably near and dear to my heart. I think the first one was when I still used to do blankets and wine. It was we did Afrigo for the first. I think it was the first time Afrigo had been put on like a mainstream stage.
Okay.
So we did Afrigo, and I had never seen Afrigo perform live. And I remember that blankets and wine, like people brought their mothers, people brought their aunties and stuff like that, and the show was great. But like Afrigo got on stage and you could just see like the happiness and like everyone was bonding, people with like their parents. It was such an amazing experience.
People having a
Yes,
time of their
they're
life.
having a time of their lives, and I know for a fact like there's so many people's parents that who's for whom that is a core memory
Yeah.
because you could see it on their faces. They were just so happy and so pleased to be there with their kids and stuff like that. So that one is like one of my very first favorite ones. I think another blankets and wine, two blankets and wine that I think I will always be happy to have been a part of was the one for Oliver Mtukudzi and Mikasa.
Okay.
Those were also amazing. Oliver Mtukudzi is also another one where like people brought their parents and
Like it was like
it
a
was
generational
exactly it was just like
kinda.
generational entertainment.
Yeah.
Like you could see like kids were proud to like bring their parents to see this artist that they've always wanted to see, and the parents were also like proud of their
Because these are the
kids.
artists that our parents grew up
Yes,
listening to.
exactly.
So
They grew up listening to them, so we grew up listening to them. So it was just like so that was just an amazing experience. And then I think in terms of like being blown away by performance, with Kid. So we did not the first, the second after. So he came for Guinness, and
yeah.
then we did the one we
The
did.
Dirty December?
No. It was here. We did it with Face TV, the one where he
Oh,
comes
that
and
one
then he
had
came the
cancelled in
next year, and then he
2017.
came the next year.
Yeah.
So I produced that one as well, and I would like. I mean, everyone's a fan of Wizkid, but like just seeing him on that stage and like his stage presence, because I think that's the first time that I got familiar with people using trucks very well. Because of course, like there's this stigma in the industry about
Yeah.
using trucks. It's like
Yeah.
it's like as if you're cheating.
Mm.
But when I saw his performance, because I knew a lot of his performance was based on trucks, I like his performance. He's such an amazing performer. He was great on stage. The stage was so big, He was like, because
Because you
the
guys
rest
were
of his
Colonel,
band.
right?
No, we were at Cricket Oval,
Okay.
but the stage was so big, and the rest of his band was, because it was just him and his band. There were no dancers, there were no backup vocalists. It was just him. But and he's not a big dude, but he filled up the stage. Like you could see him.
You could feel
You
that
could
a
feel
star on
like
the stage.
exactly. And for me, I think that's one of my my very core memories, because I remember for that one I didn't even watch it. Like I went to the stage after, like during almost at the end. I watched it from the front of house. That's like the point where like all the mixes are, so it's direct at the stage.
Okay.
So I could see exactly like directly, and it was an amazing experience, because I don't really usually experience concerts.
Yeah, because you're
this,
like at the
I'm
back
working.
running.
But listen, I remember my boss at that time, Gary, he was like, just like, come, let's watch him perform. So we went to that thing, and I remember I was just blown away, because he's super talented. He's amazing. So
Yeah.
yes, I think those are the ones so far that still like have stayed with me for sure.
Okay. Lineups, like you said, you do so many things behind the scenes. Among those is the lineup of performance. How do you approach it?
So for lineup, I work backwards. First is the artist, the main, like if I'm doing a big concert, for example, is the main artist. So if I'm doing a big concert and I see the main artist, so what I try to do is to book artists that sort of like fit within that artist's music.
Yes.
So that's my first train of thought. If that works, then great. Then I'll go through that. Then I'll work with that. Then I'll start seeing, okay, who can fit within this, da da da. Because now at that point I'm trying to create a certain vibe for the event, right?
Yes.
Then so once I figure that out, then I start with one. So two things. One, there's two returns of investment for me.
Yeah.
I can't speak for other producers, but for me, there's two returns of investment on in booking an artist.
Yeah.
One is the entertainment value. I want to know that my question is, when you get on that stage, like, how is the crowd going to react? How is your performance going to be? Like, is the crowd going to leave there saying, oh my God, that was such a vibe? You get. So it's either that, or are you going to sell tickets? So if I put you on my ticket, are the tickets going to sell? So you have to give me either both or one of the two.
Okay.
So depending on the type of event that it is. So some events I'm like, people come for the artists whether I like it or not. So now I'm at that point, then I'm only booking for your performance, your performance value.
Yeah.
So I need to know that when you get on that stage, I don't even need to like put you on the ticket before. I just need to know when you get on that stage and you get off that stage. Exactly. You're going to leave your all there, and the crowd is going to be like, what was that?
Okay.
Again. So yeah, so either that or you sell tickets. So those are the two main things that I think about. And then of course I'll throw in a couple of like upcoming artists, people that I think that would benefit from that stage.
Okay.
Maybe one or two. But yeah, so I think that's mostly my train of thought. Yeah.
And I think it actually makes a lot of sense, because like it can't make sense getting someone who sings soul music to perform like as a headliner for a main act who is maybe from a piano. Like it wouldn't, electronic dance music. I feel like the dots wouldn't really make sense.
Because also like when you're doing like, even when I'm doing the programming, some people will think like, because artists have this thing of thinking that the later you perform, the more important you are.
Okay.
But they don't realize that sometimes because you have artists throwing a fit. They're like, oh, I'm not performing at that time. I'm like, okay, cool. I can do what you want, but it's going to it's a disservice to you, because if you come, because there's also the fact like when I'm doing the programming, it's because I want to build the show up.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want the show to like go like this, because then people get bored, like they get
from high energy to
low energy, then you get like you're just mixing it up. So I build up a show. So so maybe I could put you at the beginning if you're a soul guy, like at the beginning, but the closer that people get to the end of the show, the drunker they are. So my advice is always, why do you perform to drunk people? I I've never understood it because like I had someone, it was actually an urban artist who was saying, oh, you put like young artists when I was still doing Blankets and Why. Actually, I think I'd left, but they just decided to think their woes with me. And they're like, oh, you put the upcoming artists at the beginning of the night. So I asked him, I was like, what time do you want them to perform? He's like, oh, like at night when the crowd is there. Then I was like, but at night you're performing to a drunk crowd. Like, why is that what you want? Because that crowd at that point they're drunk, but also they're waiting for the last artist. At that point, even they're like their concentration and their patience is very low.
Yeah.
So the only person that's going to keep that concentration is an artist who's high energy, and an artist who maybe the music they can sing along to, stuff like that. It might not even, it might even be one song that they can sing along to.
Yeah.
But if that person comes on stage and kills
A high energy person,
that's fine. You get. So I would actually advise artists, don't go on stage late. Like if I was an artist manager, I would never want my artist to go on stage late,
later than
or
like
even
7:38.
yeah, or even right before the main artist.
Yeah.
Also, look at the artists that you're performing with. Like, listen to, like, think about like their music, or even their energy levels on stage, or even how audiences react to them. Because if you're the kind of artist who maybe you're good, but your music is a bit more slow, and then you have I don't say Chameleon and Bebe Cool because those are like very obvious choices.
Yeah.
But like maybe you have like FIFA Maker.
Yeah.
You have like FIFA Maker come before you. The crowd after you is not, because like that Fik is going to come and kill them, and now they're tired. So when you're there, they're just looking at you like, you guy.
Because they're using that time to go get a drink,
go get a drink, to relax a little bit. You get. But what you want is to perform before Fik, because then they're still excited because Fik is coming.
Yeah.
So they're waiting. They don't want to go anywhere because it's like, if I go, she's going to finish and he comes. You get.
Yeah.
So that's really my thought process when I'm doing the programming.
It's really like when you like add like the dots, it really makes a lot of sense, because I mean, that's why they call it a fixer.
It's
things
you need to stop calling me that, but yeah,
I feel like it fits you. Like,
it's very intentional, definitely. Like the programming, at least for me. Again, I will speak for me and the company that I work with. But it's like the programming is also very intentional for sure. I mean, we don't always get it right, because sometimes you'll think something and then it doesn't go the way that you want. But we do put a lot of thought into it. Yes.
You do manage Akadope Band.
Yes, I do.
First of all, congratulations on all the good work you're doing.
Thank you.
I love those guys.
We're trying.
But they've been, I think, one of the most consistent bands. They've been there from years before I could know band music existed. What do you think has been the trick or the hack to staying, like, relevant
consistent with Akadope
over the years?
I think one, we understand our audience. I think what we try not to do is appeal to everyone, because then you can't appeal to everyone, right?
That's true.
So what we do is we try to appeal to the audience that appreciates the kind of music that we do, the way that we play. So I think that's been the main thing. And then of course there's the band as well. I know there's a stigma around saying that your family at work, because but we definitely are. Like, we try to be friends before we're colleagues with the band, like all of us. And I think that also helps us, because then that you're playing with people that respect you, the people that appreciate your talent, people that want you to grow as well. Like, if you're doing something, we're going to support you. We're going to always work together. So I think that also helps really a lot. And also just intentional growth as well. We're just very intentional about like growing from like who we are, like from what we are today to
the Akadope of 2013.
Yes,
or to
right?
the Akadope of,
like,
to see that, like, when you look back and you can see that, yes, we've actually grown by
there's been a growth. There's been some kind of growth in the way that we play, in the music that we play. So I was saying, I think the other thing that has helped us is that we stuck to the DNA of what the platform is about, and that was supporting artists. Of course, we started out where our goal was to support up-and-coming artists, which we do very well, and we continue to do.
That was with the Akadope Stars?
Yeah, that was with Akadope First Fridays, actually.
Okay.
Because Akadope First Fridays was built to give a platform to young unknown artists. So the goal was that if you have a song, whether recorded or not recorded, you come, you rehearse with the band, and then you perform in front of people.
Yes.
Actually, what I did from that was I would get now those performers and then put them on the blankets and we're on stage. So that was the goal, and then but now we've grown into not only being a platform that supports unknown and young artists, but also the bigger artists.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see us backing artists on like all these stages as well, because our goal is to make artists look good. So we work very hard to make sure that if we're performing with Micro Hero or Chike, or if we're performing with Fikfa Maker or performing with Legume, whoever it is that we're performing with, we're very intentional about the way that we do it. So I think that also helps, because again we know what our goal and vision is, and we stick to that and we work hard toward that. But I think mostly it's because we respect each other, we love each other, and then also I think that's it.
I'll be curious, like how did you put together the band, or like
That
did you get to know somewhere classmates at campus, somewhere, like how did you put together this band?
So my partner Kemi came up with the idea. So when she came up with the idea, she asked around, and then someone introduced her to my other partner, Francis Kasura, who is also the band leader.
The guitarist?
The bassist.
Yeah.
Yes. So Francis just knew a bunch of guys, brought people together, and that's how it's been. So from then on, I mean, most of the band members are people that we've been with from the beginning. Even the ones that like don't play with us consistently are still part of the band. We still consider them a part of the band.
Yeah.
So when we have something big that we think they would benefit from, we do include them. Because again, most of them, it's because they've grown. So they've grown to like maybe solo careers or even more professional careers. But again, we'll always be, if you're part of Akadope, you'll always be a part of Akadope. If you've played with Akadope, you'll always be a part of Akadope. If we've backed you up as Akadope, you're always welcome to rehearse with us, for us to play with you, for us to support you in any way that we can.
Yeah. You mentioned a number of times the importance of collaboration. I mean, even to start Akadope, it was a collaboration. So how important is it, and how can people approach it?
I think collaboration is very important. I keep saying I will die on the hill that collaboration is the way out for artists. I mean, it's not my saying, it's Isare actually who said it, was that you shouldn't aim to network up, you should aim to network across.
Okay.
And that's what collaboration is you need to stop looking for people, for high people, like you need to stop to like put you on, because the truth is those people are putting their friends on. You get? So as much as you'd want to be like, oh yeah, like I know kids these days like to say, oh, get keepers, and I'm like, yeah, but who's like, which get are they keeping? You get? Like we're past the time when, I mean, Bebe Cool and Chameleon could cry gatekeepers, because that time they didn't have any resources at their fingertips. You get? Like for you to be able for people to be able to hear your music, they had to play it on radio and stuff like that, things that you had no control over. But now you have so much more control than they had. You get?
True.
And I'm not to say that, of course, there are not people that are gatekeeping, quote unquote, but I feel like you can get past it. Like it's not really get.
Can you write the rules, or like put your own?
Yeah, I think it's also they're not really even they're not even really keeping the gates. I feel like they might be just like
the face is this short, and you can get over
like the face is not that high. You get? But so I think collaboration, and I think collaboration is what gets you over that. Because again, when you work together, when you come as many people, when you come as all these creatives, you're working together, you're creating together, you're a force. You get? You're going to knock that gate down.
Yeah, by the way.
You're a force. So it's, the thing is, let's stop thinking of all the obstacles that are there, like, or like people want to book us for events. It's not that they don't want to book you. But there's all these other things. Again, I keep saying it's a business. If you're not making people money, they won't book you. They have no reason to book you. So make yourself so investable that they have no choice but to book you. Or And if not, create your own platforms. You get that's what platforms like expressions are for. That's why we created Akadope, because
Yeah.
even I, who had access to all these big stages, I was like, because I had all these artists coming up to me like, oh, can I play on Blankets and I'm like, what are you going to play on Blankets and what are you going to do? You get so it's not that I don't want, but you just
You need to start from
you need to start from
somewhere.
So if again, and also if Blankets and Wine is not trying to book you, then create your own platforms. You get like work with your fellow colleagues, because if you're an artist, for example, so many people. Some of your friends who are doing events. Some of your friends who are doing club nights. You get your friends are creating all these things.
Yeah.
Support them, and if you support them, they'll support you right back.
Yeah.
You get so that's why I'm really very keen on collaboration. Is that's the only way that we go ahead. Is
Yeah.
if like
Collaborate across.
don't try to go up, because the thing is that person. That's why I was going to say something that is going to get me. I was going to people are going to come for me, but yeah. But anyway, just don't look to go up. Like just go, because like that thing where like when people are protesting and then they're like
When they like, yeah,
and then like move together.
they
Like I
attack
feel
at
like
once.
that I feel like you should think of it like that, of like just go, because if you're forced to be reckoned with, like if you've like um if um if you've marketed your music, if you've worked with your friends to talk about your music, if you supported your friends' events and stuff like that. If your friends' events that you're supporting are big enough, Tasca is going to stop giving money to Blankets and Wine and give it to you.
Okay.
Because the Blankets and Wine, first of all, those people are getting old. You're the crowd that they're looking for, so they're going to look for you. So the thing is, create a product that they have no choice but to buy. You create demand for that product that you're trying to sell, because at the end of the day, also, it doesn't matter if you're an artist, if you're a designer, if you're a painter. At the end of the day, we're all trying to sell a product or a service.
Yeah.
But the question is, have you created enough demand for that product or service?
Yeah.
Which goes back to my other song that I keep singing, which is community. Build your communities, build your fan bases, because those are the people that are going to create demand for the product that you're selling.
Yeah.
And if there's demand for the product that you're selling, people are going to buy.
Either way, they can't avoid it.
They can't avoid it. It's for by force. You get. So that guy that you're saying that is keeping the gate, he's not going to be able to keep the gate anymore. The keys will be taken away from him. You get. So I'm very big on collaboration, but also like, let's also be clear about what collaboration is. Don't let us not start now using our friends and then claiming collaboration, because collaboration is you give me something, I give you something.
I think that's the loophole.
Yeah,
like to be on the receiving.
yeah, you can't be on the receiving, and you
But when
can't
it's time
say
to
like,
give
guys,
back,
you're just like, no, you see, I'm being like, you get, like, people are using me, and like, okay, but then you get, so you have to also give. So if, let me say, you're trying to do a music video, like I have this program that I've been doing for a while, where I'll get like an artist, and then I'll surround them with different creatives. So I'll do a designer, I'll do a makeup artist, a stylist, and then maybe a videographer, a photographer,
yeah.
and then they'll work together to maybe now create content for that artist, around that artist. But now what they're getting from it is all that footage that comes out of it. Everyone is given whatever they need from it. So first of all, the artist has to make sure they credit everyone in every single post that they use.
Okay.
Everyone that worked on that post,
the piece of work or something.
Project is credited. If the makeup artist wants something from me and they're like, hey, can I get that video? I will send it to them with no logos, nothing. You get, because now
they played a part. Because they played a part
yes,
in it happening.
Exactly, and also how that helps them is that now she has a reel, because if she wants to do, let me say, Winnie Nwaji's makeup next time, she can show them like, hey, this is what I do.
Yeah.
The stylist as well, she's able to be like, hey, I styled this shoot, can I style your shoot?
Okay.
The videographer as well is able to be like, hey, I shot this. I remember I did the same for I did something like that for one of Taka's videos as well, and Prince was the first person that shot that, and now he's doing big things, right? So again, you're able to get that and be like, hey, this is what I shot. I can shoot this for you as well. So now that's collaboration, because they're getting something out of it. But if the other person's not getting out, because now if you just want things for free and then you get that video, put it on your YouTube and then you walk away. Now what happens? You get, or you're not trying to like maybe make your Instagram look weird because you don't want to credit everyone.
Yeah.
You get, so like if you're going to collaborate, let it be an actual collaboration. Beneficial for both of you. Don't just ask people to work with you and assume there's a collaboration. Like it has to be a give and take, not just a take.
Okay. Just like myself, not when I say that we have very many things in common. Yes, also happened to work as I studied, just like you did.
Yeah.
So, what tips would you give to someone who is studying, but then they're also working? To in order to have like our school work balance.
I don't even know, because I can't even tell you that I balanced at school and things. The only reason, I truly believe the only reason I managed was, so I had a boss at that time. His name is Paul Kahiru. He was my supervisor. And I remember Paul told me, he was like, Afsa, I know you're not stupid. So if you fail at school, I'm going to fire you, because the only reason you're failing at school is because you're working.
This job.
So which means the job is the reason you're failing, and you're not going to fail on my watch. So he's like, so you better pass. So every like semester he'd be like, and he retakes. I'm like, no. He's like, okay, you're good. You get. So maybe that's right. Maybe find someone threaten you as well.
Okay.
But I think it's also just like, I think I was doing evening classes, so I think that helped a lot. And also the people that I worked for also were very understanding about me being in school, and they were also very supportive. If I had an exam, I think Paul made it a thing so that like I think a week or two before my exams, I didn't come to work, or I worked from home. So that helps as well. Thing is, a lot of my career is best of all like luck to experience and to experience with good people. I've had such good experiences working with amazing people, so maybe that also helps. So I might not be the best person to advise on how to balance, but I think also just decide, man, what's the most important thing for you? Is it the work? Is it the school?
Because the work may be the one enough funding.
Exactly. Sometimes you need the job to fund the education, which again is something that I didn't need. So again, I'm really not the right person to advise on that, because for me it was because I worked because I wanted to, not because of need. So I think someone who has worked because of need to work would be a better person to advise on that.
I think it's really about maybe someone should just put have another network around them.
Yes.
Because I think at the end of the day, it's them who easily make or break you.
That's true. I think also communication. I would like to believe that if you actually communicated to the people that you're working with and explain to them your situation, be like, hey, I'm here because first of all, yes, I do want to work, but then also I have school. And then communicate ahead of time and be like, because I remember even with me, what I'll do is at the beginning of the semester, I'll let Paul know, I'm like, hey, on these and these days, I'm not available, maybe after 4 p.m. I have to offer them.
So it's basically, you have, I think good communication is the way to go when you're working with people or even working for yourself, is you have to just communicate. So for me, my way of doing it was I always communicated with my employer. So I always told them, I always communicated first of all my schedule, my time for my classes, my exams ahead of time, and then also I always told them if I needed some time off, if I needed something. So it's just not taking people for granted and making sure that you communicate and you're also honest. So you don't lie about
I think it's also
exams.
important, and then they say you at Groove.
And then they see you at Groove. Exactly. So it's just be honest and then communicate. And if you have good employers, again, I would just emphasize that I've always been lucky to have good employers, so they've always understood and supported in whatever way that I needed. So
about 3-4 years ago, we were in a lockdown, and we saw a bit of events going online with club meets at home and food consultation online. So what would you say is the future of events going forward?
That's interesting. I think the future, those were great. It's unfortunate that we didn't find a way of continuing to incorporate that into today's events. But I think maybe the human need for connection is way bigger. But I think really the future of events is maybe smaller events. Like there's bigger concerts and those are great. But I think we might be going into a place where people now have their own tastes.
Okay.
So mass events are going to be there, but they're going to be less than
The mainstream,
the
normal.
mainstream mass events.
Mhm.
They'll always be there, but they're not going to be as many as they've always been. So I think the future of events is really targeted.
The niche.
Yeah, so everyone has their own taste, everyone has what they like. The people who want like a party they want to rave, the people who want a small concert, the people who want a small live acoustic thing.
Specific genre.
Yeah, so I think
like alter music and all that.
exactly. So we no longer follow the leader kind of audience. Now we're more, this is what I like, and when I see what I like, I'll go for what I like. So I think that's where it's going.
So yeah, we know you as an entrepreneur, a director, a producer, and even curator.
Yeah.
But then if it wasn't for all that, what would Afsa be career-wise?
I think I've been blessed to be that. I think I'd still be that, maybe in a different capacity. I was actually telling my partners at Manila the other day that right now I'm a concert producer, so I just produce the whole concert. But I think in a perfect world, I'd probably be a broadcast producer. So you see, like at the Grammys, there's always the guy at the back
yes.
who's saying like, okay, move the camera to here, do this,
Oh, like
sound,
put the spot on
music.
so and so.
Yeah,
Run this effect.
run it, things like that. I think in a perfect world, I think that's what I would be, because
Okay.
I prefer to. I'm a very introverted person, so I prefer to work by by myself and not like with so many people.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then the life chose me. I did choose it, so here we are.
Interesting. It's been a very fruitful discussion. It's been amazing catching up with you. God knows how long I've wanted to have this conversation. And I don't know, you out there watching are going to have as much fun as I did interacting with Afsa.
Thank you for having
Oh
me.
God, I'll soon be like one of those. So what's been the worst pronunciation of your name? I have people call me Mujib. There's a guy who calls me Mujib. So what's been the worst pronunciation of your name?
So I mean, I've had every single pronunciation. I've had letters added, so many letters. I've had from Hafswad, Hafiswad, like so many pronunciations. I've had people cut it down. It's a 4-letter word. I don't understand how you cut down 4 letters to less. Like why? Why are we reducing
half.
that? Yeah, like half. It doesn't even sound right to you. But I think for me the funniest thing is also being in a male-dominated industry. I think one of the funniest things is that the person that, and this happened recently, where
Yes.
there's a guy who I was working with for something,
Yeah.
and then he kept calling me something on the phone, but I couldn't understand what it was. I just
Yes.
knew it wasn't the right pronunciation.
Yeah.
And then when he gave me a receipt after I paid him, I saw that he had written Miss K on the receipt.
Hey.
So I realized he was calling me one of my partner's names, and I was like, wow, as in all my years, that is definitely the worst that he has done. Like, he didn't even bother to learn my name, he just called me a whole other person.
Miss,
Miss K. Yeah.
thank you so much for creating time.
Thank you for
And
having me.
you out there, thank you so much for watching. Do look forward to the next episode of Mugibson Meets, because what we do is we bring amazing guests for you, my lovely audience. And it's been yours, Mugibson, and the gorgeous Afsa. See you on the other side of life. Bye.
Bye.